Okay, well, here we are. It's me again, Carpo. I'm here with my tools. I've spent a couple days getting them cleaned up, trying to work on my guitar in between things, and really that's just going to be kind of an ongoing process. I wanted to share what I've thought about in the last couple days while I was cleaning my tools and organizing, as well as the progress I've made so far, which isn't a whole lot on the guitar. I've been basically setting up right now. And I wanted to talk about some of the tools that I've found useful in my life and some of the tools that maybe you need, maybe you don't need if you want to do carpentry yourself. And, I've been working on these little... Okay, so this is something I grew up with when I was a kid. It has like a glass insert. I've tried to glue it several times. It's kind of loud because the plastic is blowing. I'm trying to set up like a little shop outside. So this thing we've had for probably 50 years in our family. I don't even know where it came from. It's a candle holder. Little holes in the sides for airflow. Pretty simple. And about 4 or 5 years ago, I decided I wanted to replicate a couple of them for the family. So these are the ones I came up with. I just put the side holes in this one today. I guess I did it in both of them, but not on the other side. At any rate, then I'm going to cut some glass and put it in there, and it's one of those things I just never quite finished. And I don't know whether I should go through tools first or my projects. I think I'll go through my projects first. These are some meditation benches that I worked on, and they are at a 15-degree slope or angle. This is made from Purple Heart, extremely dense wood. This one is made from, looks like, I think it's Paduke, and it's very similar looking but much lighter. And these were some of my first batches. This is something I was working on. It's the same thing. Basically, you sit here with your legs over the meditation bench, with your butt here, your legs over the front, and you're kneeling. It's like a kneeling bench. And I made a bunch to sell, and then my friend said he had a bunch of people that wanted them. So I made like 7 or 8 of them, and then for some reason they never bought them. Something happened. But at any rate, this is kind of a prototype that I was working on, and I thought it was pretty cool. So it has a window sash latch, chink, chink, and then this thing still needs to be trimmed up to size. It's going to have kind of a sloped, rounded cut. It'll go chink and lock that in there, and then you can travel with it. It basically weighs nothing at all. Of course, my neighbor would go chop wood right now. That's okay. So then I move over here to this part. Now this was the piece of wood, the maple, that I bought this at the shop the other day, and I think I shared it with you guys, but it had a beautiful split, and I was going to do a resin-filled table in between, and I decided I didn't want to because I wanted to use the piece that came off this side for my guitar neck. And I'll bring you over here to show you. This is what I've been working on. It's basically replicating a Squier P-bass, neck. It's very simple. It's flat. There's no slope. And I just thought that would be perfect for my needs, at least. So I've got this little area, recessed here. I'm starting to work on the fretboard. Basically, for the fretboard, you use some sort of a fine-tooth saw or a fret saw, and then you have a square or something similar. You need to build jigs for these kinds of things. But measuring out the fretboard, you make a little groove in each spot, and then you hammer in and push in the fret wire, which we ordered like 6 feet of it. And this is the most challenging part, to make sure that when the guitar is not only flat, but that the frets play right and that it's sloped properly. Now I've watched 100 hours of videos on this stuff, so I'm hoping that I can replicate this pretty easily. All it is you need to glue the fretboard on, and that's something I have not done yet because I have not made it. It's going to be out of African rosewood, I believe, because my friend got a piece. But I have all these scraps down here, different types of mahogany and sapele and walnut, and I don't know, maybe I'll find something else to use. Here's the body, basically, for it. I started working on this 5 years ago. It was made out of solid mahogany, basically like butcher block style. And I didn't like it because it was too heavy, but I figure once I've recessed everything out and I've cut the grooves for all the parts I need, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to router out and the back, and I'm also going to chamfer the edges. I'm going to take out some recesses, and of course there will be areas taken out for the pickups. Probably put some single coil basic bass pickups in here that came on the original P bass, and then it'll have the bridge down here, and it's pretty much that simple as far as putting it together. But the reason I haven't gone any further on the neck yet is because I have the center line, and I'm waiting for my friend to he's getting some markers that we're going to use for making these things different kits. But the main thing is I want a truss rod. I need to order a truss rod for this. Now, a truss rod basically goes right down the center here, and it allows you, there will be a screw hole through here, just like this. So this allows you to basically change the slope of the neck, to change the action of the neck. And that's really important. So I want a dual action truss rod in this thing. And after that, it's just a matter of rounding the back off and being done with it. I want it to be well done. I want it to be, high quality. I thought about using this for the fretboard. This is a common koa. I bought this the other day down at the wood store, and I ran it just quickly through the jointer, but it needs to be planed out flat and sanded. But you can see that glisten. It's a beautiful wood. I know a lot of folks talk about tone, but tone isn't necessarily as important on an electric guitar. But I won't get into that. That's a huge debate. So this is a box I built a long time ago. It's basically I used walnut and oak, dovetailed joints, and then I built a bunch of drawers for it out of walnut and used oak and walnut alternating. And this is, just the stuff I used to build out of the scraps I would get from work. And then I resined the top. It's got a, probably a 1/4 inch deep resin with some like gears in there. And, some of the things that I've made in the past that got me thinking, why can't I just build more? Why can't I build more of these things? And I'm finally feeling motivated. So here's the tools that I use. And you do not need any of these tools. You can literally build something with hand tools because people have been doing it for 1,000 years. This is a router table with, just a basic slot bit, but you can put a lot of different bits on here. This thing I think is live. Nope. Unplugged it. That's good. Actually has this little emergency thing to remove so the kids don't mess with it. But a router table is phenomenal. It allows you to put any bit on it and round off edges, do all kinds of things. Definitely useful, but not the most important, because you can also use that same router upside down, or rather right side up, to do the same job. Over here I have a jointer. This is an old Davis & Wells jointer for Los Angeles from way back in the day. And this thing is one of my favorites. I mean, basically what a jointer does is allows you to get one perfect edge on a board. You run it through, it flattens one edge, and that allows you to take it after that to the table saw. And the table saw, you can rip another edge. And once you have two good edges on it, then you come over here and you run it through this planer. Now, a planer is a wonderful tool. Not absolutely necessary, but if you're running rough lumber, or any lumber for that matter, honestly, it's a phenomenal thing to have. And for my sanding, I have this. I love this thing. It's an old school one, but it works really well. It's a, basically a belt sander with a side disc as well, so you can do disc sanding on it. And then I've got my favorite chop saw. I think that this is something that every carpenter should have. This is a Makita. This is one of my favorite saws ever. Compound miter saw. It's just a beautiful piece of machinery, and really an essential if you want to do lumber. I mean, if you want to cut lumber, you want to cut it to perfect length, you got to have a good compound miter.